as I was studying graphic design in Kansas City back in the 80s. I got turned on by the Macintosh computer, which was new at the time. And I had the good fortune of when I finished school, the school got a big grant to build a computer lab. And I got a job working in that lab, essentially building it. So after I graduated, like the very next day, I had a job at the school. And while I was putting this lab together and networking some computers, I discovered a piece of software for the Mac called HyperCard, which at the time made such an impression on me for the way that it so elegantly did what we just take for granted today, because this was before the World Wide Web and everybody getting online, when all computers were hooked up to each other. HyperCard had this way of letting you just make your own personal projects of linking text and pictures and making little buttons that would take you from one piece of information to another. It did it in this very beautiful way. So I got pretty excited about this because I'm not a programmer, and yet this piece of software let me make these kind of complicated projects very easily. And I wanted to know more about it. And seeing as that it was a new piece of software and it was a new idea, there wasn't a lot of literature out there about it. But I did find this one computer nerd magazine that talked about it and said this was going to revolutionize the way people communicated with each other. It was going to reorganize societies, and that it was basically a revolution in the way people talk to each other. And in this one computer magazine, they made reference to another article in an old Atlantic Monthly from 1945, written by a guy named Vannevar Bush. And Vannevar Bush, in 1945, he was like a science advisor to the president or something. But even back then, in the days of vacuum tubes for computers, he visualized a day when people would access and share information and find information in ways that were wholly much more efficient than like library card catalogs and alphabetized lists. And I became very intrigued by this reference to this article in this Atlantic Monthly. I thought, oh, I gotta go read this article. I mean, this guy was insane to predict these things in the 40s. Well, soon after, I went to go visit my buddy Dan, who was studying his, getting his Master of Fine Art degree in Boulder, Colorado. So I went out to visit Dan in Boulder, and one day we were in the library at the university there, and I said, Dan, you know what? Before I go, I just want to see if they've got these old Atlantic Monthlies here, because there's this article I want to find. So we go over to the periodicals section, and we go to the information desk there, and there's this young woman working behind the counter. She's taping something into a periodical binder. I go up to her, I say, hey, do you have old Atlantic Monthlies here? She says, well, what year? I said, 1945. She says, well, what month? I said, August. And she gets this funny look on her face. She kind of steps back and says, oh, wow. Well, like a hippie, because, we're talking about Boulder here. It turns out that the very article that she was taping into the binder right in front of me was the Vannevar Bush article. And she went on to explain that the article had been ripped out of the periodical binder for some time and lost, but that it had somehow recently been found, stuck somewhere else in this library. And she was now taping it back into the binder. Dan turned to me and he said, this is a sign. If you don't go and do something with software and computers, you're insane. You know, sometimes Google can help us find the information we're looking for. And sometimes it comes to us in different ways. This is Depot Dad saying, keep your eyes open, because there are a lot of surprises out there. I'll talk to you soon.